Good morning, Flosstube. It's Lisa Smith, Kindred Stitcher. Today is August 13th, and this is Flosstube, I don't know what it is, 104 maybe? 105, if I had to guess. Welcome to my channel. This is a channel about cross stitch. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for coming on back and visiting with me, and if you're new, welcome. Thank you in the last video for all the people who watched and made the comments about the quilt that my mother-in-law passed down to us. It was such an amazing connection in our stitching community, and that quilt's pretty special. So thank you for everyone who watched and commented about that quilt. Since that video, I have been busy. I mean, I don't know what happened. We just all of a sudden, every weekend has something going on. So I went to a bridal shower that was about 2.5 hours away, so that was all day. And then I went to a wedding, and we were over and back that day as well. So that took up a whole day. Then the next day I went to my friend Lori, textilist's house, and I was at her house last week. I worked during the day, set up my workstation, and that night we stitched and visited, and then I was there yesterday and we went antiquing or junking, if you like the terminology, and then I came back home last night. So it's like 1,000 million degrees out, otherwise known as like 108 today, which I know most of you are like, no problem. But for us in the Pacific Northwest, we tend to melt when it gets that hot. So I rescued my car chapstick. You know, if you leave your chapstick in the car, it just melts everywhere. Before it melted everywhere, but I was looking for my lipstick and I can't find it anywhere. I can't find anything, let's be honest, in the shop. So I'm off this next week from work, and I plan to do a little rearranging so I can find what I need to find out there. If you didn't know, we live in a tiny house and a room in a shop while my husband is going to build our house. Right now he's developing the well. So the well guys were here for 5 days. Oh my God. And it would be like crazy. You know, they'd have water, they wouldn't have water. There'd be a cave-in, they'd drill through that, they'd get to rock, and finally my husband's been pumping it out to clean it out and to develop the well. So it looks like it's going to be okay. We'll have to send the water out to be tested to make sure there's no arsenic in the well or anything crazy like that. But the house plans are still with the engineer, and it's slow. I don't understand, but it's slow. So it'll eventually work out. We're not on we don't have an emergency, but it would be nice if this year we could dig out, pour the foundation, frame the house, put the roof on, put windows and doors in. I would be ecstatic if all that got done, because it's going to be rainy season before you know it. So it's been very dry here. I would say we haven't had rain for like all of June, all of July. We had just the tiniest little, like, it's not even measurable bit of rain last week, I think, or the week before. And so when my husband pumps the well out, he pumped 500 gallons out and just dumped it in the ground kind of close to where he was pumping, and it didn't leave any surface water at all. It went right back in the ground. So that tells you how dry things are. And we got another month of it. So anyway, it feels like it's the dog days of summer, and we have, let's see, so besides going to a family reunion this Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the following weekend I have a girls' weekend at the coast. So I'm not sure when I'm going to film again. Who knows? I might do it in the middle of the week. You never know. So what did I work on since the last time we chatted? Well, I'm going to show you the things I worked on just a little bit. Then I'm going to show you the thing that I worked on the most. So this is so funny. I'm like, did I even work on this? I'm not sure. I think I'm going to put like 3 stitches in. ER 1821 Samplers Remembered. I got this at summer school. I think it was 2 years ago. And this is where I am. You guys, I do not know what the deal is. Like, I think I need a stitching fairy to come and get jump started on this project. It's adorable. It's very tiny. I have an idea of how I'm going to finish it, but it feels like I need a jump start. You know, sometimes you have a project where you just need a jump start, and maybe it's just I need to sit down and stitch in hand. But I love big projects, and that's what I really want to work on, is big projects. So when I was at Lori's house this past week, I stitched on Summer Moon by Plum Street, and some friends and I are stitching along on this. Other people are stitching on it too. I saw Anne stitch at Dinah Stitch. She just finished it, I think, and it was framed. I think she might have used some different colors. I'm not sure though. But I love this. Oh, by the way, I am going to the attic in November to the Blackbird Plum Street fall retreat. So drop me a line in the comments below if you're going, because I'm not sure who's going. I haven't really heard anybody talk about it. So I stitched on this because when I normally would put this on my Q-snap, but when I put my Q-snap on my lap stand, it doesn't fit in the chair that I normally sit at Lori's, so I just stitched on this instead, and I stitched in hand. This is 40 count pecan butter, and since the last time I showed you this project, I did more over here, starting up here. I did, I think, more up here. This is the roof. I put the 1776 in. So this is a lot of fun to stitch on, but I like stitching in a frame. I like this one on a hoop because it's 40 count lakeside, so it's probably 42 count, if we're being honest with each other. 44 maybe even. And I think it's just easier to stitch that small of fabric, that's tight of weave, in a Q-snap for me, personally. Now, by the way, I found my project, what would you call this? Project board. Lori Textiles made this for me a few years ago, and I thought, why have I not been using this in my videos? Because everything sticks to it perfectly. So credit to Lori for that. This is a French General fabric. I think she got that on clearance. The next thing, I just did a smidge on this. Just a little bit. I think after the video, I went in and I stitched a flower. That was it. I love this. I'm not sure that I'm going to get back to this year. I think it's going to be my focus piece in 2024, maybe January. Who knows though? I could completely change that. This is Rose Wreath Sampler by GGR. It's phenomenal. This is on 40, well, we thought this fabric was 46, but it turns out that it's a 40 Mudstone by Lakes, by, what are they called now? It's Silk Weaver, but they have a different name now. But I stitched this flower. That's it. I didn't do anything more. However, can I say how beautiful those birds are? I love this. I can't wait to get it on my wall. So that is my Rose Wreath sampler. Sorry, I'm kind of looking now. I'm gonna have to do this video on some stages because I got lots of stuff. I'm looking for my, I don't know what it is. This is my Persuasion. Oh, no. Persuasion by the Stitching Parlor. And this is what I've been working on the most. So the Stitching Parlor has several Jane Austen themed patterns. This one's called Persuasion. And since we met last, I worked on all of this and all of this. Some of the side tulips, I still have some satin stitches to put in here, but I'm waiting to put those in because on my Q-snap, it's about where it's going to snap while I finish the rest of this. So this is just alphabet across here, and then my border comes across here, and then that will be done. So this has been a focus piece because I dated it 2023, so it had to get done this year. And it's so pretty. I absolutely love this. I've loved stitching on it. I love the colors. I've changed a few colors, like this here, Elliot, because the protagonist is Anne Elliot. That was charted in this yellow, this light yellow, and when I started to stitch it, I could tell you couldn't really see it from a distance. So I changed it to the tropical ocean, I think. That was supposed to be the color down here. That was way too light. This is the color that was originally in here, but the dye lots changed. So I subbed out the watercolor. I've made this blue. I've changed some of the blues up here from Bluebell, Darling Bluebell, to that tropical ocean. So I'm switching some things around just because of how things show up. So this is Anne Elliot, and this is Frederick Wentworth, the love of her life, and this is her family. Sir Walter Elliot is right here, Elizabeth Elliot, and Mary Elliot. Love it. Okay, so those are the projects I've worked on. Now, I want to show you 5 framed pieces that have come back, and I cannot be happier with them. They're so beautiful. I also have some haul. I have something's going on. I am on a lucky streak with Facebook Marketplace. So I'm going to show you some things that I've picked up, and then I'll talk a little bit about plans. So hold on, I'll be right back. I did pull out the Stitching Parlor pattern to show you. This is what it looks like. This is Persuasion. Janine from Acorns and Threads has this pattern and several others that are by the Stitching Parlor and are Jane Austen themed. So you can buy them from Acorns and Threads. They ship online. They have an online presence as well. And I'm stitching this with Annie from Annie B's Folk Art, and her daughters Chelsea and Belle. So, girls, I'm working on mine. Just wanted you to know that. So, the first frame piece I have back is Every Opening Flower by Brenda Gervais from With Thy Needle and Thread. This was framed by the Attic Needlework, and they did an outstanding job of framing this. And they shipped it to me. Gorgeous, gorgeous work. I love the frame. I'm going to come in a little bit closer so you can see the frame. It perfectly complements this particular design, in my opinion. Oh, I love it. I love it, I love it, I love it. So, because we're under construction, I'm probably going to put this away. It kills me. I'm going to send it to my sister's house, probably, and store it there because we just have a lot of dust right now. That's all right. So I sent 4 pieces to Total Framing, and Terry and Sherry did an amazing job. This is God Shed His Grace on Me, I think, by Plum Street. It came out, I want to say this might have been a Dying to Stitch club kit, but I chose to have it framed, and isn't that frame perfection for this stitched piece? Terry and Sherry did a fantastic job. They came in on a Saturday, God bless them, and they texted me options, and this one was just an immediate, easy answer to this particular one. It fit it perfectly, and I love that big house and that flag. So that was God Shed His Grace on Thee. The next one is the work basket. It's called The Village, but to me this is very patriotic. So you can tell these are all patriotic stitches that I finished and sent in. It says, Earth hath no sorrow that heaven canst not heal. And this one is so charming. What I love on this particular design is the trees are very different and diverse. And then the houses are fun. Very fun. So that one is, I don't think you can find that one. It's a secondary market pattern. I don't think the work basket is producing anymore. Oh, you guys. This is With My Needle by Blackbird. I'm pretty sure this is out of print, but I stitched this on a 32 count. I can't recall the fabrics. I'm pretty sure the Plum Street was on whatever fabric came with the kits, and the Brenda Gervais was the called for from her pattern and the call for threads. And then the village by the work basket is, I don't recall. This is a 32 count. The others were 40 count. I'm not sure if God shed His grace on me as a 36 or 40, but this is a 32. I wanted this to be a little bigger. So it's 2 threads, 2/2 on 32 count, and isn't it pretty? It's so pretty. This frame was a perfect choice. I had sent them some suggestions. You know, they asked, what would you like? And I kind of was like, well, it's hard when you're doing it virtually. I just trust their judgment, and they recommended this one, and this is such a beautiful frame. So that is that is With My Needle by Blackbird Designs. Okay, here's a biggie. Y'all saw me stitch this before it was released, and many of you have been stitching it since then. This is Live on Little by Plum Street Samplers. This is stitched on 36 count hog bristle. It came with the kit, and it from Michelle Rudy Farm Girl Retreat. It caused quite a stir. When people got this and started stitching it, everybody wanted it, right? So as soon as it was released, gosh, it's just a flood of wonderful stitching on Instagram. I love it. These are the kit. This is what is called for in the pattern. It was in the kit. I did add my initial in a star. That star is not on the pattern. I just charted it and used this star right here as a guide. Put my initial in it. I picked some flags from the flag options that are with the kit or with the pattern, and everything else is called for. But isn't she gorgeous? And look at this frame. So they have framed this particular design in this frame before. This is a fillet on the inside, that rope, but isn't it very nautical looking? And it really goes with this stitched piece. So I probably will put this away and take it to my sister's to house until I can hang it in my house. So it's going to kill me because I want to just look at everything and hang it in here, but it's just too dusty. I don't put glass on top of my frame pieces because where we lived before, it was very lush and green and paved. There wasn't a lot of exposed dirt. Right now here, there's a lot of exposed dirt. So it should get better with time. All right, so I'm gonna clear my desk one more time and I'll be right back. Well, there are stacks of things here. Like I said, the Facebook Marketplace logarithm has been good to me. When Todd and I went to the wedding last weekend on our way to the coast, we were a little bit early, and there was a sign on the side of the road that said there's a quilt shop ahead, and it was off the beaten path. It was like down this gravel road in someone's backyard. But most of her stuff in there was not my aesthetic, but I did find a jelly roll of Three Sisters from the line Peace on Earth. And this is my jam, so this was pretty reasonable. I snatched that right up. And what else in terms of haul? Okay, so when I was at Lori's, we went to the local Habitat for Humanity at her in Sisters, Oregon. And isn't that pretty? I mean, wouldn't you love to see this with a smattering of buttons and a small in there? Pretty. That was like not much. I also picked up a couple books, The Never Ending Story, which I don't have. Now this is The World According to Christopher Robin. It's a great book. There's a lot of illustrations in here. Some are color, some are black and white. I think there was a black and white one that I was kind of interested in. I'm not sure if I can find it, but here's some black and white ones. So this is falling apart, right? And I could try to save it, but I think I have several Winnie the Pooh books from when the boys were young. So I might save this for junk journaling. There's a high likelihood that could happen. Also, when I was hanging out with Lori, I found this frame. Look at this. It's so tall and so big, but look at how gorgeous this is. This will probably be my screenshot. I don't know if I have a sampler this big that I can fit in here. I'm thinking maybe my Persephone memorabilia might fit in here. But regardless, it was pretty inexpensive. It's chippy and painted exactly the way I like it. Here's painted furniture behind me. It's my preference. I love painted furniture. In fact, my new house is probably gonna have quite a bit of painted furniture, but I got that at an antique store. Also, before I went to Lori's, my husband, he calls me, he's like, "Are you there yet?" And because I'm a couple hours from Lori's. And I'm like, no, I went north. And he's like, north? I said, yeah, there was a Facebook marketplace listing that I went and found. Millward's Needles. It's a needle box. It's not perfect. Actually, this is not in the finish. This probably will clean up all right. It was like, I think I paid $60 for this. Worth the drive. I have seen several spool cabinets, but I've not seen a needle cabinet, case, what have you. So I bought that, and then when I was with Lori, I also bought these cool scissors. They're not super fine. These actually work all right. They probably need to be sharpened. They're steel, but they have this sort of Art Deco look to them. I thought those were cool. And also a pair of embroidery scissors. And this is just for display because this is actually a little rusty. I think you could probably clean it up, but I don't know that it'll ever be perfect. But this is fun. And then we went to an antique store that my husband's good friend from high school and his wife owned. This is a long distance from where they grew up. And I saw them at the wedding I was in the weekend before, and we are related through, anyway, we're related. They're related. And I saw this sewing, it's called a sewing cabinet. And it was very reasonably priced, and I was super excited to buy it. It's a very small, it looks like a little dresser. Again, painted. And look at the lock on that. So it doesn't have a key, unfortunately, but it takes a skeleton key. This is what it looks like on the side. And I think I could probably eventually find something that works to open, to unlock and lock it. It opens and closes just fine. The locking mechanism is pretty substantial, so it has a top piece. And also at that same little vendor in the antique mall, I just saw these little, looks like children's christening gowns. I mean, the work that went into these, and the handwork that went into them, look at that. And they're so sweet and fragile. It's like, it's so cute. Yeah. The last place we went, there was a couple things. I only bought one thing, but I wanted to, was this sewing machine. And it came with a clamp. And it came in a box. The box is not perfect, but there's a box with it. I have one, so if you remember, if you watch my Instagram, I had bought a secretary also off of Facebook Marketplace, and I put it in our house in Washington, and I asked y'all if you watched on Instagram, how long you thought it would take for my husband to see it. And it was over a year. And then I bought another one of these sewing machines, and I put it on the top of that secretary, and it was not a very big secretary. It's kind of one that folds out, but it only goes halfway. It's not a full top shelf on the bookshelf on the top. And I thought for sure he would see that because he's a mechanic, that he would pick it up and want to see how it worked. But he never touched any of it. And so when we're getting ready to move, he's like, "When do we get this?" I'm like, "Oh, I've had that forever." Anyway, this one Lori thinks that this one's a little bit newer, because the style is different on the top here, which I think is probably true as well. I think you can look it up and see when it was produced. Very reasonably priced, so I bought that. I don't know what it is, you guys, because you just go through periods of time where you find all the good things and then it's a drought. And then, so this is funny. There was another one, a sewing machine on Facebook Marketplace, a small one, in a town that's like an hour and a half away from here. But my cousin lives there, so I texted her and I said, "Hey, would you mind picking this up for me?" And she's like, "Oh yeah, no problem." It was like $20, so it's not a big deal. And so she goes and picks it up from the guy, and my cousin's retired. She's younger than me, but she's retired, and she and her husband have a portable sawmill business. And she's like, "Oh yeah, we just sold lumber to this guy recently, and he gave us a barn quilt." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" So she's like, "He's a really nice guy." So she went out there and got it for me, and I'll pick it up after the reunion this weekend. So that's what's going on. My plans, you already kind of heard me say that I have a reunion, then I have a girls' weekend, then it'll be Labor Day weekend, and I don't know where the summer went. So I hope wherever you are that you're having a great day and that you're stitching all the things. Thank you for coming to my channel and visiting, and I will see you on my next video. Take care.